Good morning, everyone. It's Helen Ferguson here. If you've not been watching this show before, I'm Helen Ferguson. I'm a trauma-informed therapist and emotional empowerment coach, helping professional and entrepreneurial women emotionally recover from trauma through embracing self-compassion and using self-compassion on a healing journey to self-acceptance. So I'm a self-styled self-compassion queen. It's really important to me. And I think there is a stigma, if you like, around shame. And part of the reason why I set up Conversations with Compassion is to help start destigmatizing the experience, the emotions that we have around trauma and challenging life experiences and emotional overwhelm. That's Conversations with Compassion in a nutshell. And I got the most amazing guest this morning. I'm so excited. I'm not going to introduce her. I'm going to let her introduce herself. I am really excited because we've already had a fantastic conversation this week. And I'm so pleased that she's agreed to come in and share her experience of self-compassion and to have a conversation with me about it. So Maria, it's over to you.
Good morning. I'm Maria, if you haven't met me before. I run the Colourful Brand, which is a photography business for small businesses, small and medium businesses, mainly women. And it's all about showing the uniqueness in an authentic way. The uniqueness of you, the uniqueness of your business, that's what Colourful stands for. We are all different, we are all unique, and that's what the Colourful brand encompasses and shows in an authentic way.
I love that. And I've already said I need you.
I'd love to come and photograph. That'd be amazing. I can't wait.
I'm gonna have to come over and I can't remember where you are, but I'm gonna have to come over and just have a whole experience.
That'd be amazing.
So Maria, I'm really, really pleased that you agreed to do this because I know, talking about compassion, I know talking about ourselves in a compassionate process can be emotive. It can be, especially if we're going through our own things. But I think it's still a really important conversation to have. So I was wondering, so if you can share what compassion means for you. Because we've already had a bit of this conversation, but I'd love for people to hear what you experience it as, what it means for you.
So compassion is a really complicated concept, I think, for many people. I've been thinking about it actually since our last conversation, and I think for me personally, it's kind of like a combination of love, empathy, understanding. It's kind of offering a safe place without judgment. To feel the way you feel, to kind of be kind and gentle and calm about the whole thing, and just to be okay to occupy a space, whether it's an emotional space or just a space in life. I think as women, and especially once families come along, we get so busy and from going from I have no time to going to they're more important at the moment, to going to there's just so much going on, and can I actually take the time for myself and to feel these things, to then getting to a point where you actually feel guilty when you take time out and for yourself and for the way you feel, and then things come along in life that really upset the status quo. And then you kind of have to find a whole new balance. And that's usually when things crash, in my experience, at least. Yeah.
I think, listening to you, I think you're right. I love the idea, and I love that you understand self-compassion as kind of non-judgmental because it is accepting yourself without judgment. But you're also right in saying in your experience and saying that, actually when there's so much happening in life, and there's children, there's business, there's relationships, there's the day-to-day things, how self-compassion can become on the back burner. It becomes something that becomes less significant, whereas actually it is hugely significant in being able to do all those things. Because if you don't bring self-compassion in, then like you say, you crash. and it becomes overwhelming, and the shame and the guilt of not being able to manage all of those things sets in. So how do you, given that, you've explained it incredibly well, how do you manage to bring self-compassion in the knowledge that you have an amazing business, you have a family, you have a relationship, you have a house to run, there's demands on you all the time. How do you find it?
It's been really hard. I think I had a definite moment where I had to just stop. So a couple of years ago, in very quick succession, both my mum and my best friend died of cancer. They were diagnosed very close to each other, and then literally took the same trajectory, and a year later both of them were gone. And it stopped me in my tracks. It put me in a loop. Literally, emotionally, I felt like I was in a loop that I couldn't get out of. There was a lot of shame, there was a lot of guilt. I don't know if it was, they say grief process, but for me it was more, I don't know, it was very, obviously I mourned their loss, but it was very much also about me and how I wasn't adequate. And, I suddenly felt not worthwhile. It's so weird, like how it affects your self-confidence and also just your self-image. And so I decided, I took a huge hiatus from social media. I turned it all off because it was so overwhelming. Everything was overwhelming. Like I was struggling to just keep my family going without shouting at them all the time, and that is not who I want to be as a parent or a partner. I felt myself falling apart. So I decided to stop everything I was doing on social media, forget about my business for a while. Obviously, I was still shooting, and that was fine. And I wanted to provide the best service to my clients. But apart from editing and shooting, I didn't do anything else for my business. And then I started a personal project, which was called Maria in the Frame. And it was very much about self-exploration and finding back to myself. And it was really interesting. I really struggled at the start to so the rules I set myself, it was going to be a 365 project. So a photo a day of me. It had to include my face. That was the rule.
I love it.
And then everything else was, whatever I came up with on the day. So it forced me every day to look at myself. Good days, bad days, emotional days, crappy days, vulnerable days. And that is what I did. So every day I didn't quite get through it. I'm still kind of on the ends of it now. But I think I got to about nearly 200 days that I did a photo every day. And something really strange happened. Like at the beginning, I really disliked them. It was very hard to choose. It was very hard to shoot. And the more I did them, the easier it got. But also the more I was free to express my vulnerability, to talk about the loss, to explore that a little bit more, but in a kind to myself way. I felt like suddenly it was okay to feel. Suddenly it was okay to grieve. It was okay to be vulnerable and broken, but it was also nice to see like the seasons changed. Autumn is so beautiful, and suddenly I realized that actually I love so many things, not just about like nature and my family and my home and my life. There's so much about gratitude as well, but also that I'm worth it, that I'm worth love, and I'm not as bad as I think I am. And it's really, it's a process, I still have bad days and I have good days, but I realized that, there is stuff to love about me, and suddenly I could see it. It's really funny. As a photographer, you love your clients, at least you should, right? This is right. You love your clients. And I love every single one of my clients, whether they're brides or business clients. And I see the beauty in them. They might not see it, but I see it. And I want to bring that out and I want to show it. And this is what both my wedding photography and the Colourful brand is about. I want to show it in an authentic way, because that is what I see. I see the real beauty. It might not be external. It might just be your personality. It might be the way you laugh. It might be the way you joke or the way you do your business. The passion that you have. But that is what I want to show. And that is the thing.
Beauty is multifaceted, isn't it? Beauty is multifaceted.
Exactly.
It's not just a physical aspect. There is so much about beauty that is layered, and it's amazing. I just listening to you, I'm kind of getting emotional about it, but just listening to you, it's amazing that what you do, that you not only that you did that for yourself. What an incredibly vulnerable but powerful thing to do for yourself, to see yourself every day in every facet, in every layer, to picture yourself, to view yourself, to observe yourself in that particular way, which is in some respects more exposing than therapy. I'm just going to say, it's kind of, I make people make it. I know it sounds like I hold them down, but I help people be able to see themselves. I help women be able to see themselves because they've been underneath all this shame for such a long time. And I think you and I have a similarity in the sense that what we do is we see how women, how people actually are, and we help them see that too. And what you did you said you're not quite finished the year, but what you're doing is that you're also bringing your own out. You're seeing yourself as you truly are. And that's an incredibly powerful thing to do. I'm not entirely sure I could take a photograph of myself every day, and not go down the self-critical route of, look at that. And that's the danger that we can all go down, is that self-criticism. How did you manage not to do the self-criticism? Or did you?
You do, obviously. And you have some self-control as well, in the sense that obviously I could pick the photo that I like the most, right? But actually just forcing yourself to do it, I think that is what it is. Look in the mirror every day and just say, okay, what do I like about me now? What do I like about me today? It can be one thing, it can be three things, it can be your, it doesn't have to be a big thing. I just love the shape of my eyebrows today, or I love the way my mascara is today, whatever. It can be as flat or as deep as you want it to be, But I think just making yourself do it, go through the process. It's really hard.
I guess people wouldn't need to have, I'm presuming as a photographer, you've got this amazing kit, and people don't need to have that,
No. A lot of them were taken on my phone.
Really? Wow. And I've seen a couple of them. They're amazing. And anybody that opens themselves up to that, because there's a lot of women, and I know just from my client base, and this is streaming into my group and onto the business page, but into my free group, that there are many women that would really, really struggle to do that, and to even start, and to maintain that over that length of time as well, because I guess there's moments when you just want to stop, or you just think, oh, I can't continue with this, or because maybe a bit like in therapy, actually, the first part of therapy with me, people are picking themselves apart, and I actually have to shift them into a different direction. If you are doing that on your own with a camera, then how do you stop yourself from not giving up?
I think sorry to interrupt. I think
no, sorry, I'm talking too much. You go on.
No. I think a really important thing is that everybody has their own way, right? I'm not saying that this is the one and be or end all of solutions at all. It was just my route.
It worked for you.
And I think everybody has a different thing. It's more about just committing. Right. So the other rule that I set myself was to do it by 10 o'clock every morning, because I knew if I didn't, life would come in the way, the children would come in the way. And then by, 10 o'clock in the evening, I'd be going, can't be bothered today. But that is not what I wanted it to be at all. So I set myself very strict rules in that respect, and I stuck to them.
Gosh, that's an incredible commitment to yourself. And like you say, that initial knowledge that you needed to do something, that something needed to change, that I've said to you before, loss is universal, but grief is personal, and when it's when it can feel, when it's not just overwhelming, because grief is overwhelming, it's by its very nature, it's overwhelming. But, you know, when we feel like we're losing ourselves within that, you know, to be able to make a commitment to yourself to say, I notice that I need to do something. That's the first thing. To notice is an extraordinary thing, because we can be so often feeling like we're not just hiding, but hidden. You know, we're hidden and hiding. And so to say to yourself, actually, no, I need to do something different. I need to see me again, but actually not just visually, but in all aspects of myself, is empowering. What an empowering process. Do you feel empowered through it?
I have good days. I mean, it's a process. You know, I think overall, I'm definitely much more in a good place now mentally, mental health wise, than I was at the start. And obviously, you know, it will over time get better. But I think it really helped me. And it helped me in my own mental health, but it also helped me in my business so much. Like, I think, so I've been a photographer for many, many years, over 10 years. And so technically, I think I've been there for a long time. You know, I've been fine. But I noticed a real shift in what I photographed and what I focused once all of this happened, and once I started exploring the Maria and the Frame project as well. So much more. Like, suddenly, the things that I focus on were much more subtle.
Okay. Yeah.
And much more personal, and much more intergenerational. And I've had several brides, you know, like I had one bride who, we had her wedding, and then a week later her dad died, just suddenly, out of nowhere. And she said, you know, I never realized how important these photographs were going to be, you know. And obviously, she said, you know, I love these photos anyway. But then when that happened, it just made it so much more important. And
it held a completely different significance then, didn't
it? Exactly. And I think lots of the photographs that we have in our life will do that. They will change in importance, you know. And actually, it's funny. So my self-portrait project, I started it completely for myself. But now both my kids, they love it. And they say, you know, what are you going to do today, Mummy? And both of them want me to print them a book with all the photos in there. And I think actually, it's going to be a great thing for them, because it's going to be like a snapshot of their mum in the middle of her life for 1 year. You know, what was she like? What was she feeling? What was she thinking about? What were the things that were moving her? You know, and some of them are not beautiful photographs. They're ugly, they're vulnerable, you know, they're emotional. But I think it's important to be honest with not just yourself, but also with them, you know, because they learn from this.
Yeah.
You know, hopefully it'll help them as well down the road.
I'm sure it will. I mean, you know, I'm now feeling inspired to whether I start a similar project, you know, because it's, I mean, you know, everybody's had a tough, you know, 18 months now, you know, and lots of people that I'm working with, lots of women that I'm working with, you know, some of it, my dogs have started barking, they always do halfway through. You know, Leo always likes to be, you know, made heard. But, you know, it's been a tough year for a lot of people. And I think, you know, people are emerging from that now, and there's a sense of euphoria, but there's also still a sense of fear, and there's still a sense of anxiety. And, you know, people have tried to look after themselves in that 18 months. But I think, you know, in my experience of the women that I've been working with during that time and now waiting to work with me, self-compassion hasn't been there. You know, it's been getting through a process.
My gosh. What kind of hell has it been, you know, with homeschooling and just generally also managing the emotions of your family? Like, my kids have struggled, and, you know, you kind of then can't also fall apart. You have to be there. You kind of have to be the anchor. Exactly.
The anchor for your home, for your children, for your, I'm not discounting your partner, by the way, I'm sure he's anchored too. You know, but you personally, the anchor for your children, the anchor for your work, the anchor for, you know, extended family as well. You know, we have to include those, you know, them in a lot of cases. And then it's like, well, where's me? and then, like we said earlier, there's the guilt about looking after you, you know. So it's like, well, when people talk to me about, when I start working with them about self-compassion, because the foundation of my work is self-compassion, but I layer it with emotional agility and inner child healing, emotional intelligence, cognitive behavioral therapy. There's a whole, I work them hard. They always say I work them hard, but in a really, really good way. But there's a bit of anger to start with around me getting them to think about self-compassion, because the words I hear are lazy, self-indulgent, I don't deserve it, you know, why would I deserve self-compassion? I've just got to keep on going, and I've got to keep on going. And certainly that this last year, for this last 18 months, for a lot of people, you know, regardless of COVID, is still difficult. You know, people are still having, you know, people are still losing family members. People are still, you know, losing work. They're still, you know, they're still trying really hard to sustain themselves and to survive in the very literal sense. So when self-compassion comes in, and what people hear is self-compassion, you know, might be the bath with the candles. And I said, no, it's not the bath with the candles. Self-compassion, it goes much, much deeper than that. It is the cornerstone of self-acceptance, because without self-compassion, you cannot reach self-acceptance. And they're like, whoa, you know, okay. So they're then angry with me for like the first 2 or 3 sessions, and then there's an acceptance of, okay, I see now what this is about, Helen. I see what this is about. You know, listening to you, it's hard. It's hard for women, and listening to you and what you've achieved is incredible. You know, you know, it's inspirational for anyone to listen to you and say, you know, and hear you say, well, because of where I was, I knew I needed to do something, and I needed to see myself, and that's powerful. It's incredibly empowering. Self-compassion is empowering. It's an empowering process. And whether you necessarily knew it was self-compassion that you were giving yourself is, you know, would you have named it as self-compassion, do you think?
Probably not. I think in points I would have absolutely called it torture. You know, also, yeah, I mean, you know, a lot of it is anger with yourself, but it's a process, right? You kind of have to go through the emotions to accept both your strengths and your weaknesses, and where you are and who you are. You know, I think we all have these ideas when we are young of who we're going to be and who we are, and then reality bites.
Yeah.
You know, and then we kind of get to a point where we have to take stock again and see, actually, who am I now? Because things change as well. It's fluid, right?
Yeah.
And you develop. And, you know, are there things that I like about myself that I want to keep, and are there things that maybe I don't like so much and might want to change or try and shift? You know, like, change is very difficult.
Change is hugely difficult, but it's the one thing that's consistent. It is the one thing in life that is consistent, is change, and change is the act. Transition is the process. So, you know, originally when I started out in my business, it was called, I mean, even though I'm a therapist, I also describe myself as an emotional empowerment coach. And I also deliver training. I train foster carers and supervising social workers and adopted parents. And so I named my business Transitions Coaching, which actually meant something for me, but meant nothing to anybody else. You know, but whenever I explain, you know, because people, I mean, my website is still Transition Coaching, and people say to me, well, why? Because you're a therapist, and what does the transitions mean? And I said, because change is inevitable. It is the one consistent thing in life, but change is the act, transitions is the process, and what I help with are those transitions, the really, really difficult ones that have come about from trauma. So, you know, it's interesting because, I mean, even a lady in my group the other day said, you know, she's constantly having to change in her life. And I said, well, we do, you know, but sometimes that change can be really, really amazing. And that's the change, I think, you know, listening to you, you know, that change, however painful. I mean, I can hear, you know, how difficult and the pain that it came from, but it's been an enlightening process for you, and an inspiration for. I'm listening to you, and I'm like, I probably might need to do this. It's like, do I start doing this? Do I set myself my own project? You know, because it is, you know, I've spent so much time looking after other people that should I do something like this for myself? You know, but I know me. I'll start picking out the things that are wrong. I'm wondering whether I would use it as a project to change myself physically rather than understand. And that's the danger that people could go down, is that they see it as a project to change themselves physically, as opposed to understanding themselves intimately.
Yeah, I mean, I think by setting yourself the rules, you're probably going to go through a phase, everyone will, where they show the best side of themselves, right? And then after a while,
you know.
but after a while, you run out of that, and then you have to break through, which is why it has to be longer. But the thing is, you don't have to do it every day. Like if you were interested in doing something like that, you could do it once a week, you could do it once every 3 days. You know, it's you that sets the rules, right? You could also, it doesn't necessarily, for me, it was about me because I was struggling so much with self-worth, right? So it had to be me, right? But I know people who do projects that involve like their life, you know, they show things about their life or about their garden or their flowers or whatever, you know. Obviously it's all whatever makes you feel good or helps you through a process, really.
It's like people on a fitness journey will often take photographs of themselves to show a change, not just in their physicality in terms of their size and shape, but equally their skin.
Exactly.
Having worked with briefly, but having worked with people who are dependent on substances, you know, alcohol, and more so alcohol that I worked with. Like I say, briefly, you know, that actually the change for some of them would be the change in their skin, the change in the shape of their face that shifts when people give up alcohol, and you know, they lose the puffed face, you know, those kind of things. And you know, certainly some of the work that they did, you know, at that time was around, you know, what are the physical changes and in their eyes, and you know, what they saw in themselves in their faces. It's again a powerful experience. And that's what, you know, that's why I say self-compassion isn't just about it isn't about the in the bath with the candles. It's not just about, you know, choosing, you know, a lovely book to read on the sofa. It's so layered and in depth, and it's about self-soothing. It's about self-soothing you know, in all aspects of your emotional, psychological, physical, and cognitive health. And so, you know,
it's also about, I think, giving yourself permission to just be and feel and not be.
And not be. Exactly. And it's the not be. Exactly. Exactly. Because you don't have to be all the time. You can not be. Oh, I love this conversation. So just, you know, to kind of start tying up, but to kind of think about, you know, as you've already touched on it, but just to perhaps end on it, because it is such an important part of your business as well. That, you know, how do you use self-compassion in your business and connecting with your clients, but also about how you place yourself in your business as well. How would you describe that?
I think I already said, you know, as a photographer, you kind of love your clients, and I think you have to, in order to take the real photographs, because the authentic, really the ones that will show them who they really are, you know. And some people might not want that necessarily, but, you know, show the best side of them at least. You know, everybody has a good side. By showing them compassion as well by using it, you know, by understanding how they feel. Nobody, like, seriously, if I could get a penny for every time somebody says, oh, I hate having my photo taken, you know, I feel so uncomfortable in front of the camera, you know, and I mean, seriously, everybody feels uncomfortable in front of the camera. Everybody hates having their photo. I hate having my photo taken. Seriously. But by knowing how they feel, by being able to show compassion and guide them through it, you know, we achieve amazing results. And it's photography that is personal, but they can use for their business and hopefully stands the test of time as well, you know. And also tells the story of how they do business, what it's like to work with them, what they are like, because people buy from people.
Exactly. You know? Yeah.
So you want to show who you are. That's what people buy into, really, because there are comparable products and projects everywhere, you know. So if you want somebody to buy from you, you need to show who you are.
You need to show who you are. Yeah. Yeah.
And vulnerability as well is something that actually attracts people, I find. You know, being true to yourself, being open, you know, it helps people. People are attracted to that. People are attracted to authenticity and emotion because we're all emotional beings, you know, and you can relate to other people, you know. So if you feel like maybe they have gone through something similar, or they understand how you are, how you feel, what you're afraid of, what you're uncomfortable with, then hopefully, you know, they feel that they can trust you more.
Yeah. And that's it. That's about the connection. It's a compassionate connection then, isn't it? And hand in hand with compassion is empathy.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. So
they're kind of the same thing, but flipped coins, right?
They're flipped coins, yeah. Yeah. You know, because certainly, you know, I mean, whenever any of the work that I'm doing, you know, has to involve empathy, and you know, you're right, to show, you know, to connect with people, you have to have that compassionate warmth towards them, and included in that is the empathy. They just go hand in hand, you know. And in my work, it's certainly, you know, the statements that I hear is that I'm kind of the epitome of the compassion that people need to receive in order to locate it within themselves. And you're doing much the same thing in your work. You're a therapist. Well, the therapist is a term. But what you're doing is you're saying to people that you've got them, that you understand them, that you can hear them, because hearing isn't just about listening. It's about really understanding, and
so, but there's no judgment either.
And there's no judgment, because compassion and self-compassion, there should be no judgment. It's non-judgmental. But trying to get people not to judge themselves is hugely a difficult task in both photography and therapy, because like you say, in your work, you've got people kind of saying, oh, I don't like having my photograph taken. No, don't do that side. I'm guilty. I'm talking about me here, by the way. You know, don't do that side. Oh, hang on, let me see. Oh no, don't post that. Don't put that one. You know, oh, hang on, could you try that one again? But let me just slightly turn so you don't see this. You know, it's.
Are you sure you want to?
I am that person, honestly. I've never particularly enjoyed having my photograph taken, but and I had I'm going to be honest, it wasn't awful, but it wasn't great brand shoot where they didn't capture me at all. And I sat with my husband with the photographs, and I said to him, is that me? Because it just didn't look like me at all. It didn't in any way did it look like me. Obviously it was me, but you know, it just didn't look. There was no energy to them. There was no joy. I mean, I'm a really happy, joyful person, and I love talking, clearly. But you know, there was just nothing captured of me. And I think when that happens, you kind of then put off trying again or doing something again. But I am my own worst critic. I'm not going to stand in an ivory tower and say I've got self-compassion down to a pat. But you know, it's for everyone, it's an ongoing process. But I just remember that those photographs not even resonating with the kind of person that I am, or what I do, or how my energy is. And I mean, an important part of my life are my dogs. I wanted them in. I mean, they are a bit crazy.
I think it's always so much easier to show compassion to somebody else, because you can accept them for who they are. We are all so much more self-critical. And I think your example, I mean, I come across this very often. It's really important to kind of find somebody that really gets you. And I know I'm not the right photographer for everyone either. Some people just don't necessarily click with my style, or and I will happily send them to somebody else, because I think it's much more important to find the right fit than just do business.
Than do business, exactly. I mean, that's why, I don't work with everyone, and I'm not for everyone in terms of, my therapy style and my therapeutic background and the way that I am. There's some people that have said they've wanted to work with me, and we've sat down, we've had that kind of first, free connect call, and I've said to them, do you know what, I don't think I'm the right person for you, but I think I know who might be.
Yeah, exactly.
I would never see anybody kind of, oh yeah, I'm not the right person for you, carry on. Because it is about absolutely understanding yourself enough to say, no, this connect won't happen. It won't be helpful. And that is, like you say, the same with you. There are people that you would probably say, well, yeah, I'm not the right brand photographer for you, and so, but because of my style, because of this, because of that, and that's about knowing yourself. That's about understanding yourself, and that's about the compassion that you have for yourself, because it's there. It's all there. I have loved today's conversation. I could talk. I could chat to you for ages. And I did have a little tiny list of questions, and I'm just kind of thinking, did I get through them? But do you know what? It doesn't matter. Actually, the questions, the conversation has been so important and powerful, and I've loved every minute of it. And everything that you've said, everything that you've shared, has just really hit the nail on the head around self-compassion, and thank you for sharing your vulnerability in it as well, where it came from for you, and the process that you are still going through. So I'm so grateful that you wanted to and could and felt safe with me to be able to do that. It's an amazing
Thank you for having me. It's been amazing. I love talking to you. I could talk to you for hours.
I know. I think we perhaps just need to arrange regular coffee catch-ups.
Yeah.
I know. Unfortunately, I can't see any comments. I know people have been watching, but there has been no comments that I can see.
Well, let me know if there are any questions or anything. I'm very happy to answer. And obviously,
I mean, where can people find you? Where's the best place for people to find you?
I think the ideal place is probably Instagram, which is at the Colourful Brand, all one word, the English spelling. But I'm sure, and you'll see me there. It's a relatively new account. I was telling you this morning that I've been a wedding photographer, a photographer for many years, over 10 years. And then I really focused on wedding photography. And then during COVID, I've been doing branding shoots for the last 5 years, but I just did them kind of on the side. And then during COVID, I thought, right, this is it. Like, there is no better time. Now is the time. So I started the Colourful Brand, and it took me a long time to kind of find the right name that I was really happy with, but I love the Colourful Brand because it really encompasses how passionate I feel about how unique people are and how I want to show it. And so that's probably the best place. Anyway, I went on a tangent again, but yeah,
it's okay. We don't mind that.
Anywhere really, yeah. And
okay, so at the Colourful Brand. Is it at the Colourful Brand Photography or at the Colourful Brand?
It's just at the Colourful Brand.
At the Colourful Brand on Instagram. And do you have a Facebook page or anything like that?
I do. It's also at the Colourful Brand. I kind of did it all across the board at the Colourful Brand. And the website is thecolourfulbrand.com. So So,
Okay,
I mean, it's still
brilliant.
kind of very much in its starting phases. I need to, you know, with weddings this year, it's just so mad. I haven't got around to blogging, but I will. This is why I'm focusing on Instagram, because it's so much easier, and I kind of have to spend a lot less time on it at the moment. So, but I'm loving all the clients that I'm working with, and yeah, I'd love to come and do that really with you, photograph you whenever we can.
We can arrange that. Once travel is a little bit easier, I'd love to come over and arrange that. Probably wouldn't be able to bring the dogs, but I would love to arrange that.
I can come to you. France is lovely.
France is lovely. It's raining at the moment, but usually it's lovely.
Well, to be fair, it's not brilliant here either. So it's all good.
Some people that I talk to have free resources for people. Is that something that you have in your business?
I have a couple coming up actually, and I will be sharing them on my Instagram and my website. But my Instagram is definitely the safer place, because I will be sharing them there. I will have one about posing for your branding shoot, which is always one of those, oh, what do I do with my hands? And basically, just as a heads up, the less the better. The less the better, posing the better. And the other one is more about just like a few tips on how to make the most of your branding shoot.
Brilliant.
And both of them are just about to come up, actually.
Okay, brilliant. Well, this video is on, like I said to you, is on my Facebook business page. So if you want to share it after we've done this, it's absolutely fine. And it'll be going onto YouTube. And I will condense, crop, and it goes onto IGTV. But it takes me ages to do that because I'm not the most tech-minded person. But I have absolutely loved today's conversation. I can't honestly, it's been emotional. I've felt emotional, and the times that I've felt goosebumps, and just your story is incredible, and what you've shared is inspirational for every single person that's been able to watch this today, and anybody that's going to watch it on replay. I know it will be watched on replay.
Thank you.
They always are. So thank you so much, Maria. Thank you. I feel like I need to give you a group hug, but I'm not going to do that.
Virtual hug.
Okay. Well, I'm going to leave it there then. Thank you, Maria. Thank you to anybody. I know people were watching, but I can't see any comments, I'm afraid. So
have a great day.
Everybody have a great day. And if you're watching this on replay, give me a hashtag replay, and this conversation will inspire you. I know it will. Okay, I'll leave it there, and have a wonderful Wednesday, everyone. Take care.